Hey guys, Casey Ferris here. Thanks for checking out another video of mine here on YouTube. Today, we are continuing our series on kind of the basic need-to-know stuff of DaVinci Resolve. These are videos that are targeted towards somebody who might be wanting to switch to Resolve from something like Premiere or Final Cut, or maybe somebody who already has and is kind of trying to learn the basics. Today, we are talking about vignettes and how to add them in the color page of Resolve. A vignette can be a really nice tool to use if you use it tastefully. A standard vignette is just the darkening of the edges of a shot. And the reason that you do that is to bring the viewer's attention towards the middle of the shot or to add depth kind of around the edges of the shot. It's a really common and quick way to add a little bit of style to your project, and here's how you do it inside of Resolve. So I have a project here, and it's 4 shots. I've already done kind of a basic grade. These were provided to us by our friends over at raw.film. Check out the link in the description if you're looking for some awesome stock footage. But let's say we want to add a vignette to this shot. We're going to do that by first adding another node. Now, if you're unfamiliar with nodes inside of the color page, you don't really need to know a lot other than each node is a group of corrections. Every shot has one node by default, and anything that I do down here in the color palettes, all of those adjustments and everything are contained inside of this node. If I right click on this node and say add node, add serial, that's going to add another color correction node, and that's the same thing. It's just a group of adjustments. There are a lot of complex things that we could get into when it comes to nodes, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Just think of it as a group of adjustments that you make, and then that flows into another group of adjustments that you make, which is super convenient when you're doing something like making a vignette. You might have all of your primary adjustments in the first node, and then in the second node, you do a single thing like add a vignette. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to select our second node. I'm going to right click and say node label and call this vignette. That's going to remind us later what the heck is happening here. And now I'm going to go down to my middle palette here, and the third button over is this little ellipse. I'm going to click that. That's going to bring up my windows. These are basically like masks for an effect. So anything that happens inside of these nodes, we can mask with one of these windows down here. So if we were to make everything in this node pink, and then I grab a circle window and just click that once, we can see that it limits that pink adjustment to that circle window. So this is how we're going to make our vignette. But instead of making it pink, I'm going to reset my primaries, and I'm going to go down to my gamma and just roll down on my master wheel quite a bit. I don't know, we'll darken it quite a bit like that. And now we can resize this. So I'm just going to grab the edge of it on my screen, and I can stretch it. But we have one problem. It's dark on the inside and light on the outside, which is not really what we want. An easy fix for that is to go down here to our windows, and there's a little button right here that looks like a circle inside of a square. If I click this once, watch what happens. It inverts that selection of that window. So now it's darker on the outside, and basically nothing is happening on the inside. And now if I click over to our other node, that'll get rid of the outline and we can see what's happening. Now, don't do this. Don't do this craziness, all right? Unless you want it to look like you're looking through binoculars or some weird thing, don't do this. It looks bad, okay? Grab your vignette and soften it out. There's 2 circles on the inside and outside of your main white circle here. You can grab that and just adjust the way that that is feathered. Now, if we click off of that, we have a much more subtle effect. If we want to compare what our shot looks like with or without our node on, we can go up to our nodes, and right here where it says 2, I can click on that, and that's going to enable and disable this node. Now we can see the difference here. So that's a basic vignette added to our shot. If we want to, I can go to shot number 4, which is a very similar shot, and then just middle button mouse click on shot 2. That will load that correction and the vignette. It happens to be the same correction, but it loads all of the nodes when you do that. So the nodes on shot 2 and shot 4 are going to be exactly the same because they're the same color correction. If I were to grab shot 3 and middle button mouse click, it wouldn't just copy over the vignette, it copies over the whole grade and changes how everything looks. So that's not what I want. I'm going to hit Control Z, and if I just want to copy the vignette, I can go over to, let's say, shot 4, and I can grab this node right here that says vignette. I'll hit Control C on the keyboard, Command C on a Mac, and then I'll go over to shot 3. And what I'm going to do is add a serial node, right click on node 1, go to add node, add serial. And with my second node selected, I can hit Control V. And that's going to paste everything from that vignette node that I copied into that new node. Then because this first shot is the same grade as the third shot. I can middle click on that. So that's a quick way to add a vignette to a shot, a quick way to copy that vignette node to another shot. But let's say we want to add a vignette over our whole project. Here's an easy way to do that. I'm going to just hit Control C on this vignette node, and then I'm just going to hit delete and delete that node. I'm going to delete my nodes from every shot here and just kind of bring us back to our normal grades. If you look up here in the nodes, there's a little slider, and to the left of the slider, it says clip, and there's a little drop-down menu. If I click this drop-down menu, I have two options. I have clip and timeline. These switch out the type of nodes that I'm using. Right now, I'm using clip nodes, which just apply to the selected clip. If I go down to timeline, that brings up the nodes for the entire timeline. So what I can do here is go over to my menu, color, and go down to nodes, and I'll hit add serial node. And look what happens when I do that. It's added a serial node here, but this is in the timeline nodes. The cool thing about this is anything that I do here, that applies to the entire timeline. So if I were to, again, make this really pink, it would not only adjust this shot, but I could go to other shots and everything would be pink. And the nodes work the exact same way as they do in clips. I'm going to reset my primaries, and I'm just going to select this node and hit Control V, and that's going to paste my vignette over my entire timeline. So that's a quick way to add a vignette or basically any effect to your entire project. But you got to be careful because sometimes you can forget that you have timeline nodes. And you'll look around and you'll say, why does every shot look like it has a vignette on it? You got to remember that there's stuff applied in the timeline. So there you go. Pretty simple guide on how to add a vignette to any shot and a couple tips there. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you like this, hit like. And for more post-production tutorials on DaVinci Resolve and color grading and fusion and compositing, make sure to hit that subscribe button to my channel here on YouTube. My name again is Casey Ferris. I will catch you next time.